Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nancy Schlesinger, Board Chair of the Jewish Federation of Omaha. Joining Nancy on stage are volunteer leaders of our congregations and partner organizations. Please welcome Ken Bloom, Congregation Tifereth Israel, Lincoln. Justin Cooper, Temple Israel. Jay Dermaskin, League offering volunteers for the elderly. Gary Javich, B'nai B'rith and APAC in Nebraska. Sarah Kellen, Congregation B'nai Jeshurun, Lincoln. Ari Cohen, Friedel Jewish Academy. Howard Cutler, B'nai Israel Synagogue, Council Bluffs. Stacy Rockman, the Jewish Federation of Omaha Foundation. Yosef Siegel, Beth Israel Synagogue. Nate Shapiro, the Schwab Center for Israel and Jewish Studies at UNO. Marty Schukert, Bethel Synagogue. And Idan Zakai, Kibbutz Rosh Hanikra, Israel.
Good evening. On October 7th, 2023, Hamas unleashed a vicious attack on Israel, killing over 1,200 people, taking over 250 hostages, and shattering the global Jewish community's sense of safety. On this one-year anniversary of that horrific day, it is important for us to come together to mourn those who have lost their lives and embrace their families, to pray for the remaining hostages, to pay tribute to the heroes who fought to defend Israel, and to reaffirm our community's solidarity and commitment to each other and to Israel. I am joined here on this stage with the volunteer leaders of our congregations and partner organizations, and I am proud to be with them as we stand in solidarity as a united Jewish community. We are also joined on stage by our friend Idan Zakai. Idan is from Kibbutz Rosh Hanikra, which is directly on the border with Lebanon. He is the husband of our own Esther Katz, JCC Performing Arts Director. The residents of Rosh Hanikra, like tens of thousands of others who live in Israel's northern border, have been evacuated from their homes since October 8th. In a moment, we will invite Idan to light a ceremonial candle. We come together tonight to mark the first anniversary of the October 7th events that are unparalleled and whose resulting shockwaves have been among the most difficult we have ever experienced. Tonight, in a sense, is a way for us to give one another a big, much-needed hug. It is now my honor to invite Idan to light a ceremonial candle. Let's also begin with a moment of silence. I'd like to ask Idan to lead us in reciting the prayer for the state of Israel at the podium. You can find that on the front of your program.
Please join me. Our Father in heaven, rock and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel, that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with insight joy. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Don. Tonight, you will hear from our clergy and other community members and guests. We aim to keep the program at about 1 hour. Am Yisrael Chai. Through our efforts, we have made Am Yisrael Chai more than a slogan. The people of Israel lives, and not just lives, but flourishes and grows and continues in our sacred old age mission to be a light to the nations, to be a paragon of peace. And we must never lose hope, no matter what. Our work is far from done. We must continue to do what we've been doing for the past year, saying prayers, writing letters, hanging posters, wearing yellow or blue ribbons or dog tags, lighting candles, leaving an open seat at our tables, like the empty yellow chair that we have here representing the hostages that are still held in captivity, and everything else that shows how much we need that piece of our hearts that was taken from us to be restored. For our tradition teaches that every person contains a whole world. That is why saving a life is akin to saving the entire world. And we are all connected to each other in a sacred chain that spans time and space. We appreciate you being here this evening. Thank you.
Please welcome Rabbi Felch from Congregation Tifereth Israel and Congregation B'nai Jeshurun in Lincoln.
The prophet Jeremiah, whom we read on Rosh Hashanah a few days ago, spoke to us. He buys land in Eretz Israel as the people are taken to exile in 586 BCE. And he says, houses, fields, and vineyards shall again be purchased in this land. Jeremiah bought land as the people of Israel were suffering the loss of Jerusalem. It was 586 BCE, and Israel was being destroyed by Babylon. Jeremiah planted the seed that Israel would rise, that God would not abandon them. Death and exile, together with the faith and the hope that recovery would come. About 50 years later, it did, and the Jewish people found a way to build Jerusalem and the temple again. And then again, the Second Temple is destroyed, and other tragedies happen. Countless times, all the way to 1945. Despair, but hope. And then a new Jewish people began in 1948. Since then, there have been ups and downs, more ups than downs, always rising again. October 7 was the most painful day since 1945, the most painful day indeed. But the effort to overcome and defeat those who have heard them is relentless in Eretz Israel. I was in Israel this summer visiting with my best friends of over 30 years, Uri and Yedida. They live in the south of the country, and even though they themselves were not in the direct line of fire on October 7, the terrorists did come very near to their home. While visiting with them, I saw closely what happened, not just by going there, but also directly witnessing it through friends and beloved ones. A few years ago, Uri and I had spent Shabbat with friends, Levi and Carmela, in Moshav Netiva Asara, one of the places that were hit on October 7. We were there at the time on Shabbat for dinner, warmly hosted in a beautiful evening, just 3-4 kilometers from Gaza. And Netiva Asara is a place that continued to grow and even flourish, staying aware of the activities of their neighbors in Gaza, but living their lives to the fullest, Israeli style. Why do I tell you this? Carmela and Levi woke up on Saturday, October 7, to the shootings, together with other residents of Netiva Asara. People were taking morning walks and enjoying a festive weekend in Israel, and Levi and Carmela heard shots in their very own backyard. Levi took his gun and went to check as he saw his son-in-law and a tenant that they had being shot. And Levi, not a youngster anymore, was able to shoot and kill 2 terrorists right in his own backyard in Netiva Asara. Carmela and Levi, together with most Netiva Asara residents at that time, left the community following October 7, resettling in Ashkelon for the time being. Slowly, they are now going back to Netiva Asara with the hope and the conviction that no matter what, Israel will recover. Let me tell you a second story. Again, Shabbat dinner, but now this last July with Uri and Yedida in Be'er Tuvia. And I see Yoav, the son of Uri and Yedida. He was in the elite forces of Israel, of the IDF, and his platoon was one of the first ones to enter Gaza with the first wave of Israeli troops in November. He lost a leg while shot with a rocket in Gaza last November, and we just looked at each other. I gave him a loving hug, and of course, we know each other since he was a little boy. He said, "I flew like a doll without a rope. Smoke was coming from my body. No pain because of the adrenaline. Mom says I was born twice, the first time 1993 and the second now, following October 7. He almost lost his life indeed, not just his leg. And now I'm moving mentally from fighter to wounded man mentality. But I will not quit," he says. "This will not break me. I am not going down. I am still here. New stage, I'm in a new fight. To be able to walk is the task of my life. Going through physical therapy, I'm okay, and getting stronger every day. And what do I want to do when I finish my treatments? Drinking coffee in Tel Aviv? Beer with a friend? No, I want to go back to the reserves and serve my country. Absolutely. October 7 changed the rules of the game. That is where we want to be, where we need to be, with a prosthetic leg or with my wheelchair. I'm asking my officer in charge to put me in the list to go back and serve my unit. I will not be the first one. It has been done before. That is where we want to be, where we need to be. Friends, that is Israel, and those are her children." And the last story about Maayan Elad. Him I haven't met. His story comes from Israeli TV. He was for the past 7 years living in India with his wife and 3 children, developing a business. It was clear for me, he says, that I couldn't stay there and watch at Israel from afar. He said, "I'm flying to Israel." Decided immediately. Suddenly, in a minute, everything changed. Going from businessman to soldier, from a suit to fatigues, from a pen to a weapon, from cell phone to walkie-talkie. I heard in the expat community in their area in India about the Russian peers that were looking incredulously at these Israelis that are going back to Israel to fight for their country. They cannot understand the Israelis because when Russia got into war, they all ran away to India. When Israel goes to war, all Israelis went back to Israel to fight for their country. That's the Israeli spirit. Mayan was hurt when an explosive device just exploded right by him, and he refuses to be evacuated. The doctor stops by him and tries to move him from there, to evacuate, and he ignores the doctor until he finishes his mission. He wants to evacuate his partner that was also hurt, side by side with him. These are the Israelis, friends. They are our family, our brothers and sisters. They believe, so should we. Israel will recover. Israel will recover because it has a divine purpose. It is the nation state of the Jewish people. It is our spiritual homeland. When on Shabbat we return the Torah scroll to the ark, we sing Psalm 29, Mizmor LeDavid. And at the end, the last part of it, it says, Adonai oz le'amo iten, Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom. May Adonai, may God, give strength to his people. May Adonai bless us with shalom. So we plead with you, Adonai. We plead with you, Avinu Malkenu, our Father, our Creator and Master and King. We plead with you to continue to give Israel strength, so that a strong Israel will be enjoying soon in our own days a life of shalom. Amen.
Please welcome Rabbi Dembitzer and Rabbi Geiger from Beth Israel Synagogue.
Good evening. I want to share with you a contrast that I've been thinking about since October 7th. My wife and I, Ayelet, got married in the beginning of COVID, June 2020, and we thought it was rough. People ask me, what was it like to get married in COVID? So my wife has 6 sisters, and my father-in-law said they can marry whoever they want, but if he doesn't like the guy, you're getting a backyard barbecue wedding. And then October 7th happened. My cousin Baruch, on October 9th, is watching the sunrise as he's off with some of his friends to the south. He wrote about his experiences this year, and I want to read to you some of it. I remember the first Friday night after October 7th. My platoon and I were hiding out in pairs throughout one of our spots. While one kept an eye on the target area, the other was able to eat and sleep. Kiddush was said without a sound, and we mostly stayed cuddled to each other to keep warm. Laying out there with me were fathers, husbands, rich and poor. How I was so proud to be surrounded by such brave and loyal people. I spent the following 2 weeks in this area until my wedding day. He wrote a few things that really stood out to him about the following year. He was called back twice. In his first year, Shana Rishon, in his first year of marriage, he was called back twice. But one of them really stood out to me. He said, despite our differences, right and left, Jewish and Druze, religious and secular, we showed up and answered the call. So then it dawned on me, maybe our COVID wedding was rough because we were isolated. We carried our fear and our sadness as individuals, alone. But after October 7th, not only have we seen that God is with us, not only do we have hope and pride, but we stand united. I want to share with you one last thought. Captain Daniel Perez was one of those who gave his life on October 7th to protect the land of Israel. they found a diary of his after he was killed. And he had a page of questions that he would ask himself every night. Why am I here? And one of the questions that he wrote was, and he would ask himself this every night, Im lo ani, az mi. If it will not be me, then who? So I leave you with that thought, because it is up to each and every one of us to continue to stand united.
Last night, I was up all night watching stories of heroes. I want to talk about one such hero. His name was Ziv Chen. Young, beautiful smile. Soldier who was killed. His wife, Hallel, just gave birth to a baby boy 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. This baby boy is never going to meet his father, like so many others. Young Hallel herself, probably in her low 20s, wrote a letter to her baby son. She wrote to him, and this is not the exact wording, that you were born into a world, into a hospital room, surrounded by flowers, cookies, signs, teddy bears, all probably around 100 or so, from people that have no clue who you are, total strangers. But Am Yisrael. And she writes, "Oh baby boy, you were born in a time when so many heroes, instead of running away from danger, ran to danger, ultimately giving the ultimate sacrifice. But oh baby boy, you were born in a time of such potential for redemption, salvation, unity, power." She didn't write about Omaha, Nebraska, but I couldn't find a parking spot outside. It reminds me of my New York days, about people coming together so strong for our nation in so much pain. Everybody I spoke to today said, and the weather was beautiful, but today was a gloomy day. This is our Am Yisrael. This is our nation. When I read this letter about the Mesilut Nefesh of our nation, about these young people, older people, who would just give up everything for our people, for our land, for peace, I think, us in Omaha, we don't have to give up our lives. We have to give our lives. We have to be Moser Nefesh. Mesilut Nefesh doesn't mean dying on Kiddush Hashem only. It means to sanctify godliness, living a life of godliness. If October 7th didn't make us all want to take something small or something big upon ourselves, that in 20 years from now, someone meets us and says, well, how did it change you? Is the thing that changed you still relevant? I have friends of mine who now only perhaps drink wine on Shabbos or on Chag until every one of the hostages come home. I have friends of mine, I know one person particularly who has kept Shabbos, every single Shabbos, since October 7th. All these small things that we can be Moser Nefesh, that we can give our Nefesh, our drive to live a life of idealism. So to all those babies that were born to parents that they will never know, and to all the young men and women and not so young men and women who were killed. A Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name, may we live a Kiddush Hashem.
Please welcome Cantor Alexander and Hazan Krausman with accompaniment from Adam Cutler and Anna King.
This song, Zebeseder, the translation is on the back of your program, was written in a healing project. It was written by survivors of the Nova Festival with the help of musician Banaya Barbi.
בסדר להיות בסדר, זה בסדר לשיר כשכואב, זה בסדר לבכות כל בוקר, ולמרות הכל סוף לקום.
זה בסדר לא להיות נורמלי, זה בסדר לא לומר מילה, זה בסדר לרקוד עד הבוקר, בחושך מלא תקווה. הכי קל להסתיר פנים, לשמור בבטן עוד אלפי שנים. הראש שלי זורח מבפנים, להתפלל על רגעים קטנים, הכל רגיל אנחנו משתנים. רק ללב שלי שמרתי אלוהים. הכי רוצה להיות ביחד, אף פעם לא להיות לבד. הכי רוצה לשיר חזק, להחזיק לך את היד.
הכי רוצה להיות בפחד, זה בסדר לשחוק סתם ככה. הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב. הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב. זה בסדר להתאפר ולהתאפש יפה, זה בסדר לאבד כיוון. החיים הולכים קדימה, אז מי אני שלא אמשיך?
זה בסדר לא למצוא את התשובה, זה בסדר להתפלל אמונה, זה בסדר לשאול 1000 שאלות, אם להיות או לא להיות. הכי קל להסתיר פנים, לשמור בבטן עוד אלפי שנים. הראש שלי זורח מבפנים, הכי רוצה להיות ביחד, אף פעם לא להיות לבד. הכי רוצה לשיר חזק, להחזיק לך את היד. הכי רוצה להיות לי פחד, זה בסדר לצחוק סתם ככה.
הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב. הכי רוצה להיות ביחד, אף פעם לא להיות לבד. הכי רוצה לשיר חזק, להחזיק לך את היד. הכי רוצה לחיות בלי פחד, זה בסדר לחיות סתם ככה. הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב. הכי רוצה לחבק קרוב, זה בסדר לאהוב.
Please welcome Rabbi Sharf and Rabbi Berezin from Temple Israel.
This past week at Rosh Hashanah, I spoke about the broken heart of the world and how so many of us move from grief to pain to desperation to heartache throughout these days and weeks and months, but that we need to allow our tears to move us toward redemption, which isn't a perfect world, but rather the hope and the possibility of change. But in order to do that, in order to get to that, it's our responsibility to find the words of these stories that we're hearing tonight, these words of our fellow people of Israel, Am Yisrael, to lift those truths up. In a world where there is so much misinformation, we have the opportunity to tell their truths. So tonight we'd like to share a story from Natalia, who was a medic at the Nova Music Festival and a survivor. Natalia was part of the medic team with Awad Mossa Dashawi, who was killed by terrorists during the Hamas attack on October 7th. As she said about the festival, people just came to have fun and relax. It was the weekend. Everyone was young and beautiful and happy, and they all came to have a good time, to take a break from the chaos of work and school, rest from the hardships that accompany us throughout the week. They came to a nature party to get closer to nature, to be as humans are meant to be, to come and dress however they want, to have fun, dance, listen to music, have a good time with friends. And the party started. We were there as the medical team, and people were always coming over, saying hello, thanking us for coming, thanking us for being there with them. Every now and then we patrolled the area, saw that everyone was enjoying themselves, having fun, dancing. And then at around 4 a.m., I entered an ambulance with another paramedic, and we napped for a bit. I didn't even know what time it was. It was morning. After a while, someone shouted siren through the walkie-talkie. We stepped out of the ambulance and saw rockets and explosions overhead, and we started to understand that it was going on longer than usual. Some of the kids, the people who attended the Nova Festival, managed to help each other. Maybe some of them were medics or paramedics or nurses. And then we were asked to take an ambulance and go to the parking lot and direct cars out, since it had become very scary. I don't remember how long it took, but we were in the parking lot trying to direct cars, and the cars had started heading out. And after a while, someone shouted, "There's gunfire. They're shooting at the cars that are leaving." We drove quickly to the clinic. People started coming in with their injuries to hands and legs. We didn't even believe it. We said it can't be, it's not real. But then we received a call on the internal radio system that we urgently needed to get back to the clinic because people had been shot. We drove quickly to the clinic. People started coming in with injuries to their hands and legs. We started administering treatment, but what equipment do ambulances have? 2 basic ones and 1 intensive care ambulance that were equipped for a party, a nature party. People started joining us saying that they were medics and helping us with bandages and IVs, but when a lot of kids started streaming in, we understood that there was a problem. We had so many kids in there. They were all terrified. We still hadn't realized that the gunshots were getting closer. Around us were nonstop sirens and rockets, and I focused on treating the people in the clinic. Awad, a senior medic who was with us, came to me and said, "Natalia, it's really happening to us. It's real." I told him that I was scared, that I wanted to go home. We hugged and we said that we needed to be strong and to carry on. We continued treating people, and suddenly someone pulled me, someone from my team, and he yelled, "Run, run!" And I realized that the gunfire was right next to us. I started hearing bullets whistle by me, and everyone, anyone who could run, ran.
I have no idea where I ran to. I have no idea how I had the energy to run. I ran and I couldn't have run any faster. I started lying to myself, telling myself that I was going to be home any second. Within a few minutes, I would be on my couch at home. I could never forget the sound of the bullets whistling by me, the sound of death. You're running and someone is running next to you and suddenly they fall. Luckily, we headed towards Beersheba. At some point, I have no idea how much time had gone by. I said I couldn't run anymore without water. My tongue was already stuck. The guy also said he couldn't run anymore. The guy next to me, we fell right where we had stopped under a tree in the orchard and played dead. It didn't end. When you're lying on the ground, there's no reception. We were trying to get in touch with someone, to get someone, anyone to save us, to let them know that where we were. So I lifted my arm for a few seconds so that messages could be sent. I sent a message to someone I knew from the police, "Save us." I sent him our location and wrote, "Please." And he replied, "It's impossible. Make a hole, hide, since we can't be there. Don't even breathe." And I understood that I would be staying in this orchard and we wouldn't be getting out alive. You force yourself to accept the situation, that this is how it's going to end. We were there for about 3 or 5 hours. We have no idea how long. At some point, we saw civilian cars that started blinking at us with their headlights. The police officer had written me, "Be careful, don't believe anyone." They, the terrorists, are dressed up as police officers, soldiers, civilians. Don't trust anyone if you're not completely sure it's one of us. One of the cars drove towards us, and a guy with the yarmulke came out and said, "Injured people first, quickly." I understood that this was our moment to escape, and we started piling people into the car, as many as possible. We got in another car that came by, and in the civilian car next to the driver were military patrol border guards. They took us to the gas station in Okafim, and there we gathered for a bit. There was a guy with a gunshot wound in his leg, and we put on a tourniquet. A girl sat to the side and cried. She was covered in scratches from bullets on her hands and back, and I told her, "It's behind us. You're alive." She said, "I'm alive because I hid among the corpses." A soldier came and said, "I'll take them in my car, load up as many as possible." I helped load a few people who were taken straight to Soroka Hospital. Cars started arriving to pick up the kids as well as the girl who had run with us. Someone from my team called someone and they picked us up from there. We stopped at the entrance to Okafim. Barely 10 minutes past, we got a message that there had been gunshots at the gas station we had just left. We continued to Soroka. We thought we could help treat people there. A week has gone by, and I feel like it happened yesterday. The kids who came to enjoy themselves, to relax. For what? Why? What are they guilty of? This is not a war between religions. This is a war between man and a monster. Man is not capable of this, neither is an animal. I have no idea how I made it out. I can't explain it. Why did I make it out alive when all those kids died there? I came to treat drunk people, scratches, bruises, and people had simply come to enjoy themselves. The gates of hell opened up that morning, and through those gates, the devil and his friends came in. This is the story of Natalia Kay, a medic of the Nova Music Festival. We share this story because we are a people of stories. I married into an Israeli family. As my father-in-law reminded some people this evening, he predates the state of Israel. And he never really talked much about his time in the military, including in the '67 war, until my middle son started to ask him questions. And only then did the stories start to come out. This date, this singular moment in time, like so many moments in time of our people, will only continue to live on if we share the stories. We are now the witnesses. Their stories are ours. And as we live Jewish lives, we will continue to live through those witnesses and through those victims and share their stories with the world. Because the devil may have come in that day, but we can certainly have the power to throw the devil back out.
We'll now watch a short video with Ofri Avigdor Betzer from Kibbutz Kfar Aza on the Gaza envelope. This brief video was recorded the morning following the Iranian attack on Israel just a couple days ago. Ofri will be here in person tomorrow night to share her full story after the showing of the Nova Music Festival documentary in this theater tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to wish you a Happy New Year, Shana Tova, and hope that the next year will be better than the last year, and that all our hostages back home. My name is Ofri Avigdor Betzer. I'm 31 years old, from Kibbutz Kfar Aza. I'm married to Guy and the mother of Daya and Yara. On October 7, we was at our home in the kibbutz. Guy, Daya, our two dogs, and I was in the 9 months of pregnancy. At 6:29, we ran to the safe room. We was in a panic, and it was shock for us. At sometimes in 2:00, the terrorists come to our home. For 3 hours, them was at our home. Them sleeping in our bed and eating from our fridge. And all the time them trying to break the door, but this time them not doing this. After three hours, the army come to our home, and was a big fight with a bomb and a shot. We was the hostages in our home, at our home, all this time, and this was crazy. We back to Gaza envelope. We are living now in Oran. We not back to our home or our kibbutz, but we believe this has happened early. So tomorrow I will come to Nebraska to share our full story with you. I'm so excited to meeting and speaking with you, and that's all. Thank you very much, and I'm so excited to meeting you.
דלתות
Please welcome Lillian Cohn, UNL student and past president of UNL Hillel.
Everyone in this room remembers where they were on October 7th. The thing I will always remember is the fear I felt when I received a text message asking me if I'd heard the news. My heart dropped because my first thought was Jack, my brother who is studying at yeshiva in Israel. I immediately called him. No answer. The chaos and uncertainty that swirled around me was suffocating. Finally, a few hours later, he returned my call. His yeshiva was on lockdown, and he was safe. He explained to me what he knew of the attack so far, and as he did, time seemed to stand still. The next several days were a blur, but I remember the constant feeling of terror as the magnitude of the unthinkable unfolded. I was unable to focus in my classes. My concern for Israel consumed my thoughts. Every day, finding out new details of the attack. Every moment, hoping they were somehow not true. Among the developing news stories were some headlines from closer to home. American college students being targeted on their campuses, Israeli flags being set on fire, and swastikas on students' doors and bathrooms. Instead of being met with sympathy and support, we were hit with a fiery wall of anti-Semitism and hatred. As the president of Hillel at UNL, I knew our Jewish students needed to stand together and to stay proud. With the help of Dr. Ari Cohen and university leadership, we held an Israel Solidarity event on campus. And although there were still a handful of Palestinian protests over the next several months, I am happy to tell you that I never felt unsafe at UNL. The university leaders set clear boundaries for these protests, and I was even given the Vice Chancellor's personal phone number to call in case of an emergency. Since October 7th, as Hillel, we have expanded our numbers, had dozens of events, deepened our relationships with the greater Jewish communities, started working closely with university leaders, supplied kosher for Passover food in the campus food markets, have been granted approval to build a sukkah in the middle of campus, and even constructed the first kosher kitchen in the history of UNL. We continue to build our Jewish lives in memory of those who were murdered. We do it to remember those still held hostage. And we do it so that October 7th will never happen again. Since October 7th, I have had the opportunity to attend a trip to Poland sponsored by Chabad on campus and visited the Nova Festival exhibition in New York. Both of these experiences were transformative, but it was the similarities I noticed between visiting Auschwitz and the Nova Festival exhibition that left me so disturbed. At Auschwitz, the display of thousands of lonely shoes makes you feel the tragedy of the Holocaust. But to see the same display at the Nova Festival exhibition, hundreds of shoes, each representing an innocent young life, almost all of them my age, murdered while doing what Israelis do best, celebrating life. And so there is no greater moment than this for the Jewish people to celebrate. Because the moment we hide our Jewish identities, skip our holidays, avoid Jewish places, we are letting our enemies determine how we live. But instead, we will be joyful and proud because our strength lies in our resilience. From generation to generation, we have faced threats to our existence. And from generation to generation, we survive. Evil can be extinguished, but the people of Israel are an eternal flame. Am Yisrael Chai.
please welcome Rabbi Katzman and Rabbi Tenenbaum from Chabad of Nebraska.
Thank you, Lily. Actually, my sister just told me yesterday about an event. There was a protest in North Carolina, one of the universities, and this Jewish professor walks up to these protesters and starts yelling at them, "You're chanting like Nazis." When he gets back to his class, a young student, graduate student, walks up to him and presents him with a rose, thanking him for standing up. He looks at her, he says, "Are you Jewish?" She says, "No, but I really admire the chosen people." And he really gives it to her. "What do you mean chosen people? You know, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in that." So she says to him, with great innocence, "You may not believe in it, but we know it." An entire year has gone by since the day that the world has changed forever. Yet, amidst that insanity, something incredible happened. The lion has awoken. The Jewish people have been punched in the gut with a force we have not seen since 1945. And in the process, we gave birth to a new consciousness. The second verse in Bereshit describes it best. V'ha'aretz hayta tohu vavohu. And the earth was empty and chaotic. Darkness was everywhere. That was October 7th. But what happened on October 8th? Continues the verse, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the water. A new sobering awareness had descended on our people. The Jewish heart began beating like never before, awake with its inner power and love. Our collective heart, our neshama, is showing its true beauty, the resilience. We see acts of kindness and strength. Communities are coming together like never before. Strangers are embracing each other with love and support. We rise with hope, compassion, and a crazy sense of commitment to one another. Now, we ask ourselves, why do they hate us? Because God has chosen us to serve as His ambassadors, to elevate, sanctify, and transform His planet. The fanatical obsession with the Jews and Israel is the world telling us that our mission is as authentic and vital now as ever. The Creator has placed us in the vortex of the planet to create a spiritual and moral revolution. We have nothing to fear. We have a mission. We are seeing the potency of our people and the relevance of the Torah 3,300 years after Sinai. The words of Moses that God loves and has chosen us to become the moral light and blessing for all humanity is as true as the laws of gravity. Last month, the community here got together, was listening to some great baseball mavens that I didn't understand very much, but I figured I'll use that as my metaphor tonight. When you look at a major baseball game, which features about 30,000 people gathered around 18 people, chai, playing ball, watching every move, every play. The players are professionals, no matter how loudly and we holler or critique their performance, they will ignore you. They're focused on one thing. They have a game to win. The stadium may be filled with 30,000 18 people, but 18 of them are disconnected from the noise. They're in a hyper-focused dimension, and the spectators are left to cheer, to boo, to support, and to oppose. Until the end of the game, the players don't allow that to distract them. They know who they are, major league players, chosen to hit the ball out of the park. Planet Earth is a giant stadium covering about 197 million square miles. In the center of the stadium is a space which is 0.004% of the world's surface. The playing field, which is Israel. 7 billion spectators are gathered in the stadium, unable to look away, as the players do their thing. The players are a teeny group, 0.0214% of the world's population. Yes, the Jewish people. Some of the spectators are rowdy, just as in the ball game. The drunk, the unrefined, those are the fans who spew the most abuse at the players. That's normal. The sad thing is when the players are getting offended and distracted. Some of them are even wishing that they can quit the game. The players even huddle together and shake their heads in dismay for the unfair heckling. Did you hear what that Shmigegi said on CNN or a Fox? Folks, we have a game to win. We have a job to do. We got to hit the ball out of the park. We need to take the ball, which is God's planet, elevate it to holiness and a greater sense of morality. Please, let's focus, block out the noise. Hashem is watching us. Let's do more mitzvahs. Let's show our love, our concern, our compassion, our connection. And for the benefit of the world, we must win this game. Gemar Chatima Tova, Am Yisrael Chai.
Mark Twain concludes his famous essay stating, what is the secret of his immortality? Of course, talking about the Jew. He didn't know. He wasn't Yiddish. We know. Our immortality is our unity. Our immortality is our observance of the Torah, our connection to God, and our connection to one another. The Torah contains 613 mitzvot. It's a lot. But that also means is that each and every one of us has an opportunity to connect to one another, to be unified with one another by choosing one of those 613. Of course, growth-minded, but starting with one and growing in our unity more and more, as has been done, and as Rabbi Ari mentioned previously, taking on some observance, something that's going to be lasting from October 7th, from October 8th, for the rest of our lives, that is true unity, and that is the secret of our immortality. In the back of your programs, on the bottom as well as outside, there are cards with pictures and names and ages of the victims of October 7th. I encourage you to take those cards, fill them out, pick a mitzvah that's already listed, or pick another mitzvah. Again, there are 613 you can choose from. And be unified together. We, the Jewish people, are connecting to each other through what unifies us, which is Hashem and His Torah.
Please welcome Cantor Alexander and Hazan Krausman with accompaniment from Adam Cutler and Anna King.
Besara ubashira,
Please welcome Rabbi Abraham from Bethel Synagogue.
Every morning when I wake up, since October 7th, I've recited Psalm 130, and it's helped every day a little bit. A song of ascents. Out of the depth I call to you, O Lord, O my sovereign, listen to my cry. Let your ears be attentive for my plea for mercy. If you keep account of sins, O God, who will survive? Yours is the power to forgive so that you may be held in awe. I look to God, my whole being is looking, I await God's word. I am more eager for my sovereign than guards for the morning. O Israel, wait for God, for with God is steadfast love and great power to redeem. It is the one who will redeem Israel from all their iniquities. In Israel this summer, I got to meet a number of soldiers, all either in their military service or right out serving in Miluim in their reserve duty. And the one thing that I kept on thinking was every generation before looks at the next generation to come and says, I wonder if we're going to be okay. For those that all of our speakers have talked about that gave the ultimate sacrifice for the state of Israel, for the Jewish state, I can tell you without any question that we're going to be just fine. It has been a year since our hearts were shattered, a year since our people were thrown into an abyss of pain and loss. And yet as we gather today, we're still waiting for a closure that seems today distant. We're still waiting for answers that remain elusive, waiting for justice and peace that feels just out of reach. But as Jews, we know that life is not always about closure. The cycles of our calendar remind us that we are constantly in motion, moving from grief to joy, from struggle to triumph, from silence to prayer. Perhaps the hardest truth to face is that even when closure does not come, we must continue to live, to remember, and to honor. So today we are together not to find closure, but to reaffirm our commitment to each other, to our people, and to our faith. In the face of what happened on October 7th, we reaffirm we will not be we will not be defined by the evil that we experienced, but by the resilience, the hope, and the love that we continue to carry. We are here not just to mourn those we lost, but to promise that their memories will inspire us to build a stronger, prouder Jewish future, a future in which we do not simply exist to survive, but to thrive, to stand tall, to protect what is ours, to celebrate our lives and traditions with strength and with purpose. While we may not have closure, we have each other, and that is where our strength lies. Today we remember and we grieve, but today we also commit to never letting go of our hope and our resolve to make sure our children and their children will never have to stand in a space like this again. May the memories of those we lost always be for a blessing. May we continue to find strength in one another even when the answers are not clear. And may we never stop holding on to our faith in the future. It is my honor now to introduce our CEO of our Jewish Federation, an individual who has given incredible time, energy, and effort both to this evening, but over the past year in making sure that Israel is in the forefront of our community's mind. And so it's my honor to introduce Bob Goldberg.
Thank you, Rabbi. We are immensely blessed to be a part of this special community in this city and in this state. I am very, very grateful for all of you. I want to thank everyone who has participated in tonight's commemoration. I want to thank our elected officials who made time to be with us tonight. Thank you, Governor Pillen and our First Lady. Thank you, Congressman Bacon. Thank you, Senator Kauth, Senator McConnell, Senator Sanders, City Council Member Brinker Harding, and Trinity Chapelier, liaison to Senator Ricketts. Your presence matters, and we appreciate you being here. And of course, I thank all of you for being here tonight, members and friends of our Jewish community. As Nancy mentioned earlier tonight is to be a warm, well-needed hug for all of us. To be in community, to reaffirm our sense of self, to create space for belonging, and to be united. I don't think I need to say a lot more about that. It's been a hard year, and it may very well be a hard year ahead. You are bringing light to the world by your very presence here tonight. As was mentioned by Rabbi Tenenbaum, the back of your program mentions 2 additional things that you can actively do tonight to bring more light to the world. One is sending a note to a displaced family along Israel's northern border, and the second is performing a mitzvah in memory of one of the 1,200 victims of the October 7th attacks. Both opportunities are waiting for you in the gallery, and I encourage you to take time to do both. The Jewish people, we are a family. We have a shared memory, a culture, a language, values, a homeland, and a religion. History has shown that when we are divided, we are less able to overcome challenges. The unity of the Jewish people is core to our purpose. For more than 25 years, Omaha has had a deep and meaningful partnership or sister city relationship with the Western Galilee and Israel. Since October 7th, our partnership friends, like all Israelis, have endured tremendous difficulties, suffered deep trauma, and are making great personal sacrifices as they defend themselves from terror and fight for the survival of Israel. For those not familiar with our partnership program, Partnership is a platform created by the Jewish Agency for Israel and the Jewish Federations that establish sister city relationships between U.S. and Israeli communities to build one-to-one relationships, to help each of us find our place within this thing we call Jewish peoplehood. For more than 20 years, I've participated in our partnership program, and it has given me and my family many of our closest friends, and it has informed and inspired our relationship with Israel through its people. So as we continue to pray for peace, for the return of the hostages, and for better times ahead, I want to share a few words from 2 of our partnership friends, both who know Omaha well and call many of you friends. These first remarks are from our friend Michael Aronson, a past chair of our partnership who lives in Regba in the Western Galilee. Michael writes, "Yes, the shattering news leaves a strong feeling of sadness and a need to seek strength wherever we can find it. Our partnership community in Omaha is a source of such strength. I feel like we're a piece of paper that's so easy to tear, but the Yellow Pages book is almost impossible to tear. That's my feeling of alone and together. Alone we are weaker, but together we are stronger. We hear all the time the criticism from all over regarding what we did do and what we didn't do, how we are condemned, boycotted, slandered, and criticized. We are also deeply divided from within. It's easy to adopt a feeling that we are totally alone. And then we receive this huge hug and support from you, and it's comforting and encouraging, especially as we understand that it's not a full endorsement of all that is done and said here in Israel, but a sense that in the greater picture, we are together. Only in my last visit to the U.S. this summer did I realize the effect that the 7th of October had on the Jewish communities in the USA. I've always seen as my personal mission to strengthen the presence of the State of Israel and the Jewish identity of Jews in North America, and I got the impression that we suffered a severe regression since the beginning of the war. We need your advice as to what we can do to improve from our side. Our daily life is a strange routine that we're trying to adopt as if all is okay. Today, the kids return to school, and the first lesson they learn is what to do when the sirens go off. Our routine consists of, will the Iranians respond today? Will the Hezbollah target us today? Will our forces initiate a preemptive attack today? In all this chaos and uncertainty, your support and presence are comforting and reassuring. We cherish our relationship with you and will do all that we can to maintain and strengthen it. Thanks for all that you are doing for us. A warm hug, Michael. The second message is from Avital Ben-Dror, who is the assistant to our partnership director. Avital sent this about a week ago. Shalom, dear Bob. I was very sorry to read about the passing of Alan Potash, the former CEO of the Federation. He was a true Zionist and a good friend of Israel and the partnership. Please send our condolences to his family and the entire Omaha community. I have no words to express our gratitude for everything you and your community have done for the sake of Israel and our region. Your concern and support have been our beacon of light at these challenging times. I remember when you, Kim, and Nancy came on the Partnership Solidarity Mission in March, we couldn't believe at that time that the war was still going on. And now it is a year since October 7th, and Israel is still in this war, in the north and in the south, with 101 hostages that are still in Gaza. Rockets and armed drones are fired daily on our cities and villages, and with so many of our friends evacuated from their homes for so long. Many businesses we used to visit together have collapsed or are struggling to keep their heads above water, and people are still in the reserves for the third or fourth time. But I know we will overcome this. People are strong here and resilient. And honestly, we have no other choice. We have many challenges to overcome, and it may take time, and it might be painful, but we have no other land. I hope to see you in February with your community at our Partnership Summit. We can't wait to get together as one big family and celebrate our unbreakable bond and all the good things we do together through our partnership. Wishing you and your family and to all Am Yisrael, Besorot Tovot, may we hear good news and have a happy new year. Shana Tova from Avital. So, thank you for letting me share some brief words of gratitude from our friends in Israel. Their sense of gratitude for us in their time of immense struggle is inspiring and uplifting. I take great pride in being part of the Jewish people and being part of this Jewish community. May we go from strength to strength as we pray for peace and the safe return of the hostages. It is now my honor to welcome the always inspiring Mika Mizrahi, our community shlicha.
Hello, everyone. I hope I will find the right words to say this evening. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Mika Mizrahi, and I am the Omaha community shlicha. My job is to bring part of Israel to the Omaha Jewish community, and I didn't think for a moment that this is the Israel that I will be bringing to you. Israel is currently under attack. This was the words that I used almost before 1 year ago when we met here to support Israel after the horrible attack that happened on October 7th. Sadly, those words still are correct, and this is still the reality that we live in Israel. So for me, October 7th never ended. You know this feeling that you have a really long day, and you think like in the almost evening, you think about what you did in the noon or even in the morning, and you're like, wow, was today? It feels like so long ago. This is how the morning of October 7th felt to me. When I woke up in 8:53, when Sharon called me to check if I talked to my family yet, and then I discovered that Bibi Netanyahu declared a war. So this was the year full of painful stuff and full of light. We had more attacks, and we have hostages that come back home. I lost more friends, but I found the strength of Israel community and the community over here. So let me tell you about my family. If you ask me to tell you about my family, before 1 year ago and 1 day, I will tell you about my mom, that she just retired, and she started her next project at home, and she just working on her art, and she is amazing in everything that she's doing. I will tell you about my dad that have his famous special ice cream shop in the north, in Kibbutz Nehemia, that it's pretty close to Kiryat Shmona, if you know, and it's close to the Lebanon border. I will tell you about my brother that lives in Germany, Berlin, for 10 years now, then. And he is working on developing an app. He's working on his startup. And I will tell you about my sister that she's living in Kibbutz Mayan Baruch, that this is really on the border with Lebanon. And she started her last year in her degree in social work. So this is my family 1 year ago. And if you will ask me to tell you about my family right now, so I will tell you about my amazing mom that now she's driving every day to Tiberias to work with people that evacuate from the north. She's working with 7 different hotels, it means 7 different communities, to learn arts, and she gives them every time their next projects. And the connection is so strong that they're already dreaming about how they will be back home, and she will go to Kiryat Shmona to teach them there. I will tell you about my dear dad, that in the beginning of everything, the kibbutz that his ice cream shop at is evacuated, and after a while they did come back, but all the villages and the kibbutzim next to it didn't come back yet, so no one come to visit in his special ice cream shop. But he needs to take his food truck and his ice cream and go around Israel to a lot of pop-up and like carnivals that people do around Israel to support the people in the north and in the south, to help them to grow and not stop their life entirely. I will tell you about my incredible brother, that he's finishing developing his app, and he's just working on it. But in the same time, in the moment that the war started, he take a big role in the Israeli community in Berlin. He helped all the Israel that finds a way after that everything started. He helps them to find a way. If the kids was need school, if they was need anything, he was the one that helped them and showed them the way. And from there, I write it down because it's hard words. But, wait. He is the government relation coordinator behalf the Israel community in Berlin. I will tell you and my sister that from October 8, she's evacuated from the kibbutz, and she still didn't come back. She still evacuated. She moved between 4 to 5 homes this year. It depends how you count. She did finish her degree, and all of this year was in learning on Zoom because she wasn't able to be in her university in Kiryat Shmona. So, in the beginning of the war, she moved to the Dead Sea to work with people that evacuated from the south. Funny story, if you didn't know, before I came here, I was working in the entertainment team in the hotel in the Dead Sea to entertain people, to make them a good time in their vacation. And my sister got to the same hotel exactly that I worked at. And she's working with my team, with the people that I work at, to take care of the evacuated in the same hotel. Small world, small Israel. So this is my little story about my family, and I have a lot of story to share about Omer Van Krat, someone that I know from 8th grade that's still hostage, people that I lost, people that still in reserves, and people that injured, dear friend of mine that's still recovering from everything. So I think about it yesterday in the evening. I have a dear friend of mine, his name is Bar, that visiting from Israel, and we talked yesterday, and I talked to him about what this day be. And I told him I refuse to make this day so sad and so painful, because the last year was so sad and so painful. And to continue being this horrible pain, it will be let them win. And I'm not going to let them win. I'm going to try and recover and be strong. And I know I will have time to pain. It's not that it's going to end, but I will go in my own thing and bring to light to you. So I have my own light over here, and I turn it. And I always ask myself how I can make this small light, my own thing, as a big one. So here I have an amazing opportunity, because I will bring the light for you guys. So even if the people in the back cannot see me, the people in front row for sure can see me. So please light your light. And here, everyone light his light. Not necessarily because you saw me, because you saw the person next to you. And if for one day or for 1 minute or for 1 hour, you need to turn this light up, you need to be a little bit like crying and be in the darkness for a second and grieves, it's fine, but be sure that the people next to you will have their light to light you up back. This is the power of community. And this is the power of what I had here when I had this horrible and amazing year in the same time here with you guys. So I want to say, you guys, thank you. And look around the room. Look around the room how light it is right now. So I want to say thank you for you guys. And thank you for everything that you let me do in this community. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone that helped me through the way, even if it's sometimes hard and even sometimes you don't understand me. But thank you for everything. But thank you for everything you let me do and how you're showing your care to Israel and to me. I wish I was able to bring all of your love from me actually to Israel, because it's given so much powers. And with this slide, I will talk about one more thing. before almost 1 year ago, when we was here, I was singing here the national anthem of Israel, Atikva. And I thought all my years that it will be just one time that I will be actually proud to think this. It was like the first time after the officer course that I was need to salute for the first time for the Tikva. I thought this would be the most emotional time. But then I sing it here in front of you guys. And I sing the sentence, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו. Be an free people in our country, in our land. And October 7 wasn't free. And I understand how much powerful it is. How much this anthem is more than just words. It's in me and in all of us. Whoops. And with this, I want to take this hope, and I want to invite Chazan and Cantor to the stage to sing with me the hope, Atikva, and really embrace those words for have a hope. This concludes our evening. Thank you for everyone that's coming tonight. Good night.
Beautiful program.
The dance was so moving.
Thank
So
you so
moving.
You totally rock.
It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
It was amazing. Thank you so much.
I mean, the dance was.
Thank you. Wow. That's really so good. The dance was amazing. Wow. Just amazing. Wow.
I talked good. It wasn't too fast.
You were fast. Okay. You were, but that's okay.
But I was understandable.